days of learning today. We'll pick up.
Okay, wait a minute or two. That's the guys. So guys aren't in yet.
Mishnah, right?
We'll pick up at the Mishnah. Okay.
So what?
What?
Nunta some days. Mishnah on the bottom.
I'm doing this for 6 years and they don't know where they are. Okay. We're on Nun Tes Amid Bays, 6 lines from the bottom, or actually 5 lines from the bottom, the Mishnah. Okay. Nazir. Wake me up when Amen. To what extent did you explain the Mishnah?
We did not go into it in a lot of detail.
Okay.
Because we had.
Right.
Remember, this was the same Mishnah we had.
Well, not really. I mean, it's got lots of new information in it. But okay, you answered me. The case is an old case. But each time we get to it, we learn stuff. Correct. Okay. So, may I start? I mean, people are gonna be drifting in for the notes.
I don't know where all is.
Okay. So the Mishnah said, now, one thing we have to think about is that this Mishnah and these cases are really theoretical. The reason I say that is because in a previous case, if you say that shaving your whole head, meaning every single bit of hair from your neck to the crown, is not called megalea, then they could be men. If you do not say that, you can't shave your head al safek, so you have to say they're women who, but the Gemara never resolves that. It just blind say, okay, we came up with a hypothetical that allows us to understand the Mishnah without any chachmas. So it's all theoretical. So now in this Mishnah, we're going to be saying, and in the Gemara following it, since it's all theoretical, we're going to set it up. I smile when I say this, in a mathematical way that makes it easy. I mean, which is like a joke because it's not easy at all. But we're going to be making the following assumption. So-and-so saw a rash. He went to the Kohen. Kohen says, gee, it could be tzaras. Go lock yourself up for a week. Come back in a week. So either it could be at the end of the week, he's muchlat, he's confirmed, or it could be come back in another week and he's confirmed. But in any event, this Mishnah is operating from the premise that the day he becomes a Nazir, that he's declared tahar from his Mitzayra. And for whatever reason, he becomes a Nazir that day. Okay? So that's where you get the 30, 69. If the guy became... And there's a 30-day Naziris. So that's where you get these beautiful finite numbers, 30, 60, 90, 120. All right? So that's the first assumption. Nazir shahoyatame misafek umuchlat misafek. So we figured out, the Gemara figured out how you could be tamei misafek. Eventually, the Gemara will give not a very good reason for muchlat besafek, and the Rishonim come up with what they consider to be a better reason. But in any event, so ochel b'kedoshim acher shishim yom. He's allowed to eat kachim after 60 days. So what's going on? If he's a tamei nazir, he can't eat kachim. He's tamei. So what's happening here is that by the time the 2 shavings and the end of 60 days, he's really only at best maybe still a nazir midrabanan. And since he's going to be a nazir for another 60 days midrabanan, the rabbis cut him some slack and tell him he can eat kachim. Okay, so since it's only midrabanan, they can relax the rule on whether he's tamei or not, and because it's only tuma midrabanan. Now, what?
Where can he eat the kachim that is tumah?
In Yerushalayim, certain kachim can be eaten in Yerushalayim.
Okay.
Okay. I don't believe so. I don't know, but my opinion is not based on a feeling. I didn't look it up. I don't know. Okay. Shosa yayin umatame lemesim, but these are the eraisa requirements, and he may still be a nazir at some slim chance. So acher meya v'esrim yom, he has to wait 120 days, 4 shavings, 4 sets of korbanos. Okay. Why? Shetiglachas neged doiche tiglachas hanazir. If he is absolutely, he's a genuine mitzayra, no shilas, and he's a genuine nazir tahar. In that case, we learned several days ago at great length that you do shave him. There's a discussion of which days up to that point count. You wait 7 more days, you shave him again, head to toe, et cetera, plus all the other things that go along with it. And the fact that he's a nazir doesn't matter. But if he's a safek muchlat, then maybe he's not a mitzvah at all. And the nazir is not allowed to shave. So you cannot shave him until at least 30 days has passed to end the nazirus. Okay? Bisman shahu vada, you can shave him. Avo, bisman shahu safek, then the mitzvah shaving does not push off the rule of not shaving for a nazir. Okay. So now we come to the next page. I'll do the best I can. This is tricky stuff. Okay, what exactly are we talking about? Benazirus muetes, a 30-day nazirus, and we're assuming that his tzaras ends on day 1. Avo benazirus passhana, but if he made himself a nazir for a full year, you just multiply out the rule. He goes a whole 2 years. What? He goes 2 full years before he can eat kachim because of the rabbinic leniency. And shaisa yayin umatame lemeisim acher arba shanim 4 years. Okay. Now we're going to go through what he actually does. We're not yet up to when, but we're going to go through what. Okay, and I'll try to explain it as we go along. Tane Allah, we say concerning this fellow who might be Tomei, who might be a Mitzayra, who's definitely a Nazir. So we say about him as follows. Miglachas arva tiglachiyos. He shaves for times. Now, 2 of them would be his entire body, and the other 2 would just be his head. Okay? Tiglachas Rishona, the very first time, which means since he became Tahor the very first day, he became no longer a Mitzayra in terms of the rash on the very first day, but he can't shave till he's at least fulfills his Nazirus. So the first one is in 30 days. Mevi Tzaparim, he brings the 2 birds. Now, there's a ritual outside of the Beis Hamikdash where you take 2 pigeons, you let the process, you kill one and let its blood drip into water, and you use that water as part of a spritzing ritual. You let the other bird go. Now, underlying all of this is the assumption you're not allowed to do unnecessary korbanos. It's called bringing chulin into the mizbeach. You can't do that. Okay, not even. All right. Okay, and so here's how. And he brings a chatas ha'oif the oil behem. He brings a bird chatas. Now maybe he doesn't have to. So a bird chatas is unique in that the normal bird chatas, the Kohen does malika with it, however he does it, he presses the blood onto the mizbeach, they cook the bird, and the Kohanim eat it. If it's brought on al safek, this is the one and only korban that can be brought al safek, they do the malika and all that stuff, and then they take the bird out and burn it. So nobody eats it. What? What?
No, this is the phone.
No, this is a chatas. It's not burned on the mizbeach.
Right, so it's
And
a chatas that's burned in fire, right?
It's burned outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Now that's an exception to the rule, so he can do it. Okay? And then he brings an olas behema, and we will learn in a few minutes that if this is the end of his Naziros or the end of his Mitzayrakite, then it's a chova. But when he brings it, he says, if it's not a chova, I'm bringing this as an adava, which you can do. Then it's no longer an obligatory korban. It's a gift to God, and that you can do. And he covers all his bases. Shniya mevi chatas ha'ofa ola behema. The next 30 days later, his second round, he brings the ola, the chatas ha'of, which has the same rule as we just explained, and the ola and the behema, which is the same rule we just explained. You'll notice it leaves out the 2 birds and the bucket because he did that already. Okay, and his Naziris was over long before he did it the first time. So no matter how you slice it, whatever his actual status, it worked for his Nazira, for his Mitzayra. So that was round 2. Round 3, he shaves again. Shlishis, maybe chatas ha'of, the same sequence, viola sabahema. And again, the bird has a special dispensation, and the ola is either or, and he speaks it out. Revi'is, the 4th round, he's shaving now a 4th time, maybe korban tahira. Now, no matter what happened, whether he was just a Nazir, whether he was a Mitzayra, whether he was just a Tameh, whether he was a Mitzayra and a Tameh and a Nazir, by this time, the only thing left is the full-blown process of ending his Nazirus. So he brings the normal boy, girl, sheep, and grown up. Okay, and he shaves, and that's the end of that. Okay, now the Gemara is going to flush out that brisa a little bit. Omarta teglachas rishon, maybe for the first round, he brings first the two birds and lets one go, etc., etc., and then he brings the olas chatas and the ola behema. Okay, mamanav shach shapir kamaisi. However you slice it, whatever he is, there's nothing. That korban is kedas and kedin. That process is kedas and kedin. Okay. First possibility, if he's surely a Mitzayra, but he is not Tomei, even though he doesn't know it. Okay. Tzipor and Chavaso, he has to do the first two birds. Right? Everybody understand that? Okay. And he has to do the Chatas Ha'of, Safek Azla Kavura. The bird that becomes an Chatas, because there's a doubt, they take an item what's wrong. They don't burn it, they bury it. Okay? So strike, burn, Sydney, they bury it. Okay? Viola Chavia Nidava, and the first Behema Ola simply is a gift to God. Okay? And then theoretically, he has to shave again in a week. However, is still a Nazir, so he can't shave again in a week. So the gap between the two shavings is not a critical factor, and they wait a full month and they do the second shaving for the Mitzayra part. Okay, the Galachai, what? Evada Mitzara lo alav tamehu. He's not tummy. It's berach v'chayva v'chatasa of safek azla kabura that gets buried. The ola having a dava. I read all that, and that animal becomes a gift. Okay. The legacho b'toich shiva efshar. Since in theory he should be shaving in a week, but he's not allowed because a Nazir can't shave. Okay. Dilma lav muchladhu, because maybe he wasn't a real Mitzayra. V'rachmana Aimer in the pasuk. Now this is the pasuk that we said earlier in the Mishnah. It's not daiche. The ta'ar lo ya'avar al rosho al melos. You cannot shave. A razor cannot go on his body until after the end of his Naziros. Okay. The ilav mitzara. What if he's not a mitzara? Uvadai havehu tomeh. But he is genuinely tomeh. Okay. Chatzis ha'of chavaso. Then the Chatas Ha'of is part of the process and is a chov. V'tziporen avroka misavrin v'lo have chulin be'azara. And since the two birds are never brought anywhere near the base Hamikdash, so he killed a bird. So he got blood on him. But it doesn't violate any deraisa mandates. So it's not a problem, okay? Now, va'oilas behema. So what about the animal that he brought? Havya nedava, that becomes a gift to God. Okay, so that covered two possibilities. V'i lav mitzorahu v'lav tomehu. What if he's only a Nazir? He never really was a Mitzayra, and he never really was Mitame Meis. Tziporin avraiko misavdin. The birds are not important because they never got into the base of Mikdash. So the guy lost a pigeon. Okay. Chatas ha'of l'kavura. The chatas ha'of got buried. So that's not a problem. Okay. And oilis behema chavia chovaso. But the animal sacrifice becomes the mandatory sacrifice as a part of the little lamb boy, the little lamb girl, and the grown-up ram. Okay? So and then one time, I'll just remind you that the Eved, most of the Chachamim agreed that once you brought one of the many required sacrifices, then the rest are not ma'akev. So here he's okay, at least with the Eved, okay? So what did we leave out? What about the Asham? Remember, there was a Chatas, the little boy, an Asham, the little girl, and the grown-up, or the other way around. Okay, so what about the Asham? We haven't even accounted for the Asham. We didn't even think about bringing an Asham. So Rabbi Shimon, the only time you can even ask that question, if you hold like Rabbi Shimon, and he said, that's Yachid, the Omer, Maisei Umasne. He says that you do bring the Asham and you make it Tanai, otherwise it's Ashlamim, a Nedava. Okay? But that's how he would resolve that. He would throw that into the mix. But the majority of the rabbis say it's inappropriate to do that. And so you just ignore it since it's not ma'akev. Okay, so that was a full explanation, more or less, of the first round. Now, what about the other rounds? Tiglachas shniya v'shlishis, numbers 2 and 3. Tziparin lo tzorich, you don't need to bring the two birds and kill one of them. To have it. Yeah.
When you say the first round, you're going back to 30, 60, 90?
Yeah. What we just read through what is the first round,
Which is the 30 days.
which is after 30 days. So his Nazirus is probably up if he said only a short Nazirus, and his Mitzvah is certainly up since the Kohen cleared him, and he used Clearasil and his skin is clear, so that the two birds were done. So you don't need to do them ever again. So, okay,
That's all.
the ha'avid,
This is all at the end of the first 30 days.
correct. But now we're moving on to 60 and 90. Okay? Tzipor and lo tzarech, you do not need to bring two birds anymore because he did it already. Okay? The ha'avid, he did it already. So my Ika, what does he have to worry about still? Dilma vaday muchlatu. Maybe he was really a Mitzayra and he only shaved once, right? Chada the Safek Sipro. So now the first shaving occurred. The next 30 days are called his counting days, which in a normal human being are only 7. But maybe he's a Nazir because he never got rid of his Nazirus. And he shaved because he was a Mitzayra. So now he has to count 30 more days for Nazirus. Okay, Chadil is Safek Sipro. So the 30 days is enough time. And he can now go through the body shave business once more. V'chadil is Safek Tumaso. And the chatas he brought, the bird chatas he brought in shave, that's the end of shaving 2. And shaving 3, the chatas he brings is from maybe he's still tome because he never went through that ritual. Okay? And maybe korban tahira umas altiglachas revius at the end of the 4th shaving. He goes through the full process, the little boy lamb, the little girl lamb, and the grown-up ram. And the head only shave. And now he's cleared up all his problems. Okay? Turn the page. Ivadai Nazir. So since he was definitely a Nazir, every time he shaved, because he never brought the boy, the girl, and the grown-up, right? So he never did that. So he's still a Nazir. Okay, okay. So Ola Rishona Chova Zu Nidava. But if you say that the first ram he brought for the Olas Behema was enough, I said, B'di'eved, that could have been enough, then all these three animals he brings now at the fourth round he has to speak out that they're all nidavos. Okay? The im tomei umuchlad hu, if he was both tomei and the muchlad, he was all a nazir, tomei, muchlad, all three. Olas rishon and nidava, the first round Ola was just an nidava. V'zuchayva, and the fourth round animals are his completion of his Nazirus and the obligatory sacrifices there. V'zeh shar kubano, and if the first one was a chov, he's simply wrapping up and bringing the others. Because one thing we haven't mentioned yet, even though not bringing all the kurbanos may not be ma'akev, he can still shave, he still owes the other kurbanos, and he has to bring them before 3 holidays are up. So if the first Ola was his part of his Nazir removal process, then the animals, the 2 of the 3 animals he brings now are his tashlumin animals, his payback animals, okay? V'zuchayva, and okay, I'll rishon in the dava if the first animal was real. Okay, I skipped again. Okay, ve'im tomei umuchlad hu, if he's both tomei and has confirmed psoriasis, I'll rishon in the dava, then the first Ola was only a gift to God. V'zuchova, and round 4 Ola is his obligatory Ola. V'zeh shar kavana, and the other 2 animals finish up the package, and he's done. Okay? Now, going back to the original brisa, Tuma sofek umuchlad vadai. We didn't cover that possibility. Maybe he's tamei, maybe he isn't, but he certainly has saras. Okay? Eichel v'kadshim la'achar shmona yomim. He theoretically could eat food after 8 days. V'shosa yayin u'metame l'mesim. His naziris is up. He goes back to normal life. He could drink wine and go to funerals after 67 days. Now, the extra days are the 8 days between shaves for the Mitzayra. Kenny, you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna put the end part, gotta keep in mind that that's why it's 60, he's gotta repeat his.
Right. Well, we covered that already, I thought, with the 4 rounds. Okay. So muchlat sofek b'tamei vadai, another possibility. Maybe he's a Mitzayra, maybe the Kohen messed up, but he is certainly tamei mace. On the way to the Kohen, he touched a dead body, right? So oichel v'kadshim la'achar shloshim v'shiva yomim. So he counts 30 days, goes through the process, and he only and mixes Yom Kikula, so the 8 days for the Mitzayra becomes 7. So you get total of 37. V'shosa yayin u'metame l'meisim la'achar shivim v'arba'a yomim 74 days, and there's a long footnote in our scroll that spells out how you get 74. Okay. Tameh vadai, he's certainly tameh. Omuchlat vadai, and he's also certainly has or had psoriasis. So echel b'kodshim la'achar shmona yomim. He can eat kodshim after the second shaving. That's the 8 days. V'shosa yayin u'metame l'meisim la'achar arba'im v'arba'a yomim, 44 days. And I refer you to footnote 9 for that man. Okay? Now, Sha'ayla Talmidav es Shimon ben Yochai. So remember what we've been saying. We've been saying he can only shave for one or the other, right? That's why he has to go through 4. So they want to know, the Talmidim of Rav Shimon bar Yochai says, the Torah tells us not to shave. It's true that an aseh is talchaloseh, or maybe even an aseh velosaseh. But if you could compress the number of efforts, then why don't we do that? Why don't we only come up with 2 shavings, say? Okay, and double up. So Shalom, Talmid of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Nazir Tahor Mitzayra. If the guy is both for sure a Nazir Tahor, and he for sure is concluding his Nazirus, his Mitzayra. Mahu, why can't we do the following? Shetagalach, tegalachas achad, v'yola lola kana lakan. Why don't, because we do shave his whole head when he's a Mitzayra. Why don't we let that cover also his Nazirus? And then you shave the rest of his body. But why can't we double up and avoid multiple, quote, violations? They're not, because they're allowed. But why don't we condense the situation and have fewer shavings, which are not supposed to do in the first place? So Amar Lahen Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai answers like this: Einu migalach, you can't double up. You can't one shave serve for 2 functions. Amar lo lama. So they said, why not? So he answers, Amar Lahen, he gives more than one answer. Amar Lahen, iluzeh, legadel zeh, legadel. Okay. When you're a Nazir and you shave, that's the end of that. You have no mindset that you want more hair to grow so you can shave again in a week. Okay? You don't care how slow it grows. You don't care if it never grows at all. If it never grows at all, you won't take on Nazirus again. But it's not your intent to have this shaving be a precursor to new growth. Okay? The Eluz Elagadel, but when you're a Mitzayra and you need 2 shavings, you have an affirmative mindset that, gee, I hope I get enough hair in a week for them to shave me again so I can get rid of this stuff. Okay? So, v'zeh ha'avir v'zeh lahavir. If both, or if he was shaving to remove hair. And now this is his second answer now. Even if you tell me people don't want to walk around bald, and he really does have a mindset for his hair to grow back as fast as possible, in both cases, Yafa atem imrim, then you guys would be right. Achshav, nazir lahavi mitzayra, but in lagadel, but in our case, where the purpose of the shave is to cut off all the guy's hair, we don't care what happens next, that's the nazir. However, the Mitzayra cut off the hair the first time Lagadale in order to grow new hair so he can cut it off a second time. So therefore, you can't double up. So lo tegale lo lemei chiluto. So the Talmidim say, okay, so let's not double up the first shave of the Mitzvah where the intents are different. But the second shaving, so let's just shave the Mitzvah and let him go count to his second shaving and the Tegala Lola Mes Sifro, let the counting days, the second shave, let that count for 2. Now remember, we had Rebbe Eliezer who said that a 1 week's growth, as long as the hairs can curl, 1 week's growth is enough. Now, so they're apparently here using that shita. Omer Lehen, he replies to them, yeah, but it's still not the same. You can't draw a parallel. Why? Elu zelifnei zrikas damim, v'zelifnei zrikas damim. If the process of shaving for Nazir and shaving for Mitzvah is that you do the shaving and then you do the Zrikas Adam for both, okay? Yafa Temaimrim, then maybe you guys would be right. No, you would be right. Ela Mitzvah lifnei Zrikas Adam damim. The fact is, the Mitzvah shaves first, and then the Kohen spritzes the blood. The Nazir la'achar zrikas damim. We learned this several times already, that you do the karbanos, at least one, and then you shave the Nazir. So there's no parallel. One is pre-carbon and one is post-carbon. Therefore, you can't double up. So the students are not ready to give up. Lo sala lo imetzurasai v'niziraso. Okay, so we'll concede the point. You can't take away tuma from a nazir and have a first shave or a second shave for a mitzvah. But talaloli meitzaraso tumaso, but you should be able to double up for tzaras and tuma. Amalahan, he replies to them. In other words, that if the position here is, well, maybe it's not ma'ake what the sequence is, and b'di'evid, the rabbis would let you off if you shave before the carbon, or for the mitzvah shaved after the carbon. So he answers, yeah, but there's another critical difference, okay? Amar Lahan, he says back to them, Elu zelifnei bias mayim, v'zelifnei bias mayim. If both processes put going to the mikveh in the same place in the sequence, then everything would be fine. Yafa atem aimrim, you guys would be right. Ela tomei la'achar bias tamim. Okay, but when it comes to a nazir, he goes to the mikveh, his tuma is removed by finally going to the mikveh at the end of the process. Umitzora lifnei bias mayim, and the mitzora is demitzorahized before he goes to the mikveh. So again, there's an alteration in the sequence which makes it impossible to double up. So Amrullah, so they again, now this is just a reiteration of it in a shorter form. Amrullah, they said to him, Yafa Amarta Shalo Sa'ala Lime Sifro Linizira. So the Tamidim say, we acknowledge you're right when that you can't count the 7 days between shavings and for the second mitzvah shaving, and the Nazirus case. In other words, we're not going to uphold by Rebbe Eliezer. V'teglach lo l'mechi luto v'tumaso. But what about the second Nazirus shave? If you were to wait a full 30 days and go for and try to double up then. The Zelagadol, the Zelagadol, in both cases, I'm sorry, this is the first shave. In both cases, the guy's interested in growing more hair. So Amr Lehen, he replies to them, Nazir Tahor v'hu Mitzayra, if he's not Tameh, but is a Mitzayra, you can't do one shave, Zelagadol v'Zelahavir. I stick to my guns. The Mitzayra has to shave with the intent of growing hair quickly so he can shave again at least 7 days later. Whereas the Mitzayra just wants to grow hair as quickly as possible so he won't walk around bald and be embarrassed. The Im Nazir Tomei v'hu Mitzayra, if he was both Tomei and the Mitzayra, Zel ifnei bias mayim v'zel acher bias mayim. The time you go to the mikveh interrupts, and since Kenny set the minhag of not going the 7 lines to the next perek, we'll do it too. What? Yeah, but I didn't prepare.
All right.
What? What are you talking about? A Mitzara or Nazir, or just Harry shaved in the morning? Oh, so Harry shaves in the morning, right? Right. Well, probably not, because you cannot remove Tuma and you cannot end Nazirus. What they would probably say is he got an Norelco as a Hanukkah present. And his wife did not nudging him for months, shave, and he finally gave in. But this is a serious issue because you're not allowed to shave. If you use a razor, you're vadai over the rice. If you use an electric razor, you're probably over the rice. Right? If people look at him. Well, again, nobody would do that today. Then, yeah.
Yeah, those days.
Yeah, then that's why I said that the machshava of the Nazir is to grow hair fast as possible, so they leave him alone. But today they just say, "Oh, he joined the modern Orthodox shul."
Probably embarrassing. Well, in those days, everybody had a beard, right?
Yeah, nobody didn't have a beard. I mean, there was one guy, the guy who went to the Roman court, and he was given reshus to use the village. Okay, boss. All right, and I took off my stuff. I had to pay a visit, so.
On the list for the Siyam?
What?
Coming to the Siyam?
Yes, Hashem, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
Yeah, okay.
You know that phrase?
No.
It's not talking about a flood.
Right.
It's talking about the Creek Indians attacking. If the good Lord's willing, means if I'm still alive. No, it does not mean that. I always thought it was the Creek
I don't know, we
Indians.
have to figure it out.
Let me know, okay.
We have to
Sporadic
figure it out.
You
rebellion.
are, right?
Yeah,
So it
I
was
will
big
be.
stuff. We would rise from here to there on the horse. I always thought.
Okay, wait,
I knew William.
They were upper class. Baltimore, they're hillbillies. Not near where my niece and nephew is.
I was growing up in Baltimore. I lived downtown and they
Oh, that's a
didn't
different.
wear shoes, they didn't have a lot. If they were over 40, they didn't have 2 pounds.
Because they didn't go to the dentist, that's why.
And they smoked those corn pipes.
Oh,
I'll see the barber shop next Thursday.
How about Cheryl? How about Cheryl?
yeah. Too much celebration yesterday. Andrew, thanks for thanks for getting it into the.
Getting the RSVP information other than the name.
That's
but,
all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's
So
all
try
right.
to get the phone number.
No, just so long as they can look. It's basically a few people plus whoever is in the regular. They feel they should publicize it to them.
For sure,
And,
for sure, because you don't know who's studying on
on their own.
Right.
All right.